Hey y'all, it's your girl Desiree, and I'm back. And this time live. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I decided to just go live because I'm off today and I have some time. This is based on a clip that I saw on Instagram of Duces. I think that's how you say her name on Instagram. I seen her on Instagram years ago, but I hadn't seen her in a while. And I saw a clip of basically her on the train with this guy that's here in New York City. Because when it's your city, you could automatically see that it's your city. But she's from New York City, from what I've gathered over the years. So I'm gonna go ahead and show the clip. Hopefully it plays properly and y'all can hear it. And hopefully y'all can hear me because sometimes when I use StreamYard, like the audio is a little messed up, whatever. I need to reach out to them about that. But let me go ahead and show let me see if I can find it.
I wear whatever the fuck I want. It's a free fucking country.
May
All
have
right,
to
then, shut the
restart
fuck
it.
up. Shut up. All right, do that. I'm done doing it. Do it again. Do it again. I'm done. All right, then.
Let's just start it from the beginning.
Why you wearing this? Why you wearing this? I could do that. I could do it. I slap you. Get the fuck out of here. All right, then. You just got slapped there, nigga. Get the fuck out of here. Move that shit off my face. A nigga's not extra, right? Don't wear that. Don't wear that around. I wear whatever the fuck I want. It's a free fucking country. All right, then. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. All right, do that. I'm done doing it. Do it again. Do it again. I'm done. All right, then.
So basically, y'all saw the clip. People don't read because it clearly says that it's a social experiment, so it's not real. But I just wanted to bring up the topic because let me pause the sound or mute the sound, I should say. I was reading some of the comments and it was like one comment, I don't know exactly where it was, but the person, like, it was a guy and he was saying like, "Oh, that's what she deserved," or something like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting because there are men who still believe that because a woman is dressed a certain way, they have a right to touch her or deal with her inappropriately. So let me see if I can change the tab to 1 second. Wait a minute, what tab am I? Let me stop sharing for a second and because I was wanted to show y'all Duces because she kind of has like that image of dressing provocative and stuff like that. So this is her here. Let me see, is this her page? Yeah, so this is her page on Instagram and stuff like that. Like I said, I hadn't seen her in a while. Nothing on here is like completely new because it's Instagram. I'm just showing like, so that's just the kind of image that she has, right? So I think she's from New York City, not just New York City, because it's not just, we don't claim like Buffalo and all that. New York City is New York City. um, let me see something. And I think she has like some interviews and some other things too. Let's see. Wait a minute, what am I doing here? Let's go back. Okay, so I really wanted to come on and kind of talk about, is it okay for guys to touch you when you are dressed a certain way? And in my opinion, the answer was no, because just because you feel like a woman is showing her body in a certain way, she's dressed a certain way, does not give you a right to touch her. That's inappropriate and it's basically violating her boundaries, violating her personal space. You know how many times I've been outside and I've seen men with their shirt off? I've seen men wearing stuff where you could practically see their V cut almost, you know what I mean? Especially in the summertime. Does that give me a right to go over to that man and start touching his chest or start touching his lower stomach, his navel area, whatever it is that he's showing? No, of course not. It's inappropriate because he did not give me any kind of consent. He doesn't even know me. It's one thing we already striked up a conversation and we're already interested in each other and he lets me touch him, or vice versa. I'm dressed a certain way, whether I'm dressed modest or not, and he's interested in me, so I allow him to have access to touch my body for whatever reason. That's consensual because I'm an adult, he's an adult, and I've allowed him to touch me. But regardless of how a person is dressed, that doesn't give somebody a right to go ahead and touch them because they're dressed a certain way. And that's a very problematic, and it's like, I think it's a part of like the whole essay culture, of feeling like it's okay to do something to somebody without their consent. It's okay to um disrespect somebody. Like some people say, oh, well, they're not respecting themselves because they're dressed a certain way. So because somebody's dressed a certain way, your response of disrespecting them is basically by okay, let me rephrase that. So because somebody basically, in your opinion, does not respect themselves, that gives you a right to then disrespect them. And your response, instead of just going your separate ways and just not dealing with them, it's like, okay, this person is dressed a certain way. They're not my type. So I'm just going to keep moving. No, that's not your response. Your response is that because they don't respect themselves in my mind, because you don't know this person, because they don't respect themselves based on my point of view, I'm going to go disrespect them. So that's your response. I just find that kind of interesting. I find that very, very interesting. Um, I don't know why that image came out like that because that is not the way that I just uploaded it. But that's an example of something you may wear as a woman where you got your cleavage showing. Does that give a guy a right to come and touch your chest because you got your cleavage showing? Of course not. You know what I mean? It was supposed to be a full picture, but I don't know why it's not showing the full picture. It's not like a very provocative picture. It's like with her wearing shorts, but I don't know why it's only showing the top. For some reason it's only showing the top. Actually, I can share my screen. I can share my screen. 1 second. Yeah, so this is a picture here that I was trying to show, but it wasn't really showing it. So my thing is like this, a man has a right to choose not to date a woman or involve himself with a woman based on how she's dressed. If he chooses to, that's his choice. I have a right to do the same thing. If I see a man out walking out in the street and he got his pants sagging, that's a turn off to me. I don't like that. Even when I was younger, I remember there was a guy I was in one time and I asked him if he could pull up his pants and he was like, he kind of like was like, oh, I already knew you was gonna say something. Cause sometimes guys are not stupid. Guys can tell when there's certain things you're gonna go for and certain things you're not gonna like. Guys are not dumb. Even if you don't say nothing, men observe you. They observe you more than you think they observe you, and they're not stupid. So when he said that, I kind of chuckled because he was basically saying, based on how you are, I already knew you didn't like the fact that I sagged my pants. So when I asked him to pull up his pants, I wasn't disrespectful. I didn't curse at him. I didn't talk down to him. I didn't treat him. I didn't mistreat him. I didn't say anything bad to him. I just said, "Can you please pull your pants up?" Because I told him, I said, "I don't really like that because I'm not out here walking with you, and I got my chest practically popping out, busting out the seams." You know what I mean? Like I wasn't as modest as I dress now, but I wasn't all exposed. So I just felt like if I'm carrying myself a certain way, you should do the same. I'm not saying you gotta wear a suit. You gotta be buttoned up and completely covered from the head, from the top of your head to the sole of your feet. But the whole sagging pants thing is just something I just don't like. Even when I was younger, I didn't like it. So he pulled his pants up, and I noticed that he stopped doing it because if a man still wants to have access to you, he's going to stop doing things that you don't like out of respect. You know what I mean? And that's what you do when you may not like something that somebody does. You ask them to alter it or to change it. And if they choose to change it, then they will change it because they want to keep you around, and they don't see anything wrong with changing it. It wasn't like something that he was like, oh, I gotta change my whole self now to fit her. It's just like, okay, I can pull my pants up, it's not a big deal. Now if he was like, oh, I'm not pulling my pants up, oh well, you're gonna have to accept me for how I am, he started going off and start crashing out, then I could have just been like, okay, well, this is clearly not gonna work for me because why is he getting all angry? All he had to do is just say he doesn't want to do it because that's just something that he likes to do. And I would have had to respect that. Either I would have had to say, okay, well, I'm just going to have to accept that he sags his pants, or I'm going to have to leave because I should respect the fact that that's who he is and he doesn't want to change it. So it's the same thing when it comes to a man dealing with a woman. If she's dressed a certain way and you don't like the way she dressed and you really like her, you can bring it up to her respectfully and say like, oh, hey, you beautiful, you got a nice body and everything. I really like you, but I don't really kind of feel comfortable with you dressed in the way that you dress. I'm not trying to change you, but I don't like that, especially when we out in public and you got everything out like that, and you walking and your booty doing all type of stuff. I don't like that. I don't like when you got your cleavage and your chest is busting out the seams. I don't like that. I'm not saying you got to dress completely covered up from your head to your toes, but I would like if you would dress a little more modest because I'm interested in you. I'm taking you seriously. And if she really likes the guy and she feels like there's not a big deal to change how she's dressing, especially if she's already kind of on that journey, then okay, that works. But if that's who she wants to dress like and that's kind of how she is and she's not willing to change, then you cannot really, the only thing you can do is either accept that that's just how he's dressed, or you're going to have to go and date a different type of woman. But if your response is, "Oh, I'm going to disrespect her because she dressed that way," that's really crazy because it's interesting how you claim you want a woman that respects herself, but you are disrespectful by how you treat her because of how she's dressed. If you were genuinely a man who has respect, then you would not disrespect her. You would just keep it moving and say, you know what, she's not my type, based on how she dressed, based on how she carry herself. That don't work for me. She don't want to change it. Cool. So I'm gonna have to date somebody else. Or I'm gonna have to just accept it and say, okay, well, I'm willing to compromise. But if I'm not willing to compromise, then I'm gonna have to go get me a different woman because this doesn't work for me. Not, oh, I'm going to touch her inappropriately, or I'm going to talk to her inappropriately and talk down to her because she's dressed a certain way. That should not be how you're treating her. It should be, like I said, you either accept it or you leave and go with somebody else. Not, I'm going to call you names or inappropriately touch you without your consent because I don't respect you because you dress a certain way, especially if she's a stranger, even if she's not a stranger, but especially because there are some men who they will see a woman walking down the street and they will be like, oh, I don't have to talk to her respectfully because look at how she's dressed. Sir, you could have just kept walking, right? You could have just seen what you seen and just kept walking. You didn't have to talk to her at all. I just find that kind of interesting. You didn't have to talk to her at all. You could have just kept it moving. That simple. You know what I mean? You could have just kept it moving. Um, so let's watch the clip one more time, just for those who may not have seen it at the beginning. Wait a minute. I gotta put the sound back on.
Why you wearing this? Why you wearing this? I could do that. I could do it. I slap you. Get the fuck out of here. All right, then you just got slapped, then, nigga. Get the fuck out of here. Move that shit off my face. A nigga's not extra, right? I
It's
want to fuck.
New
I
York City
want.
girls from the
Get the
hood, at
fuck
least.
country.
I
All
just
right,
find it
then.
kind of
Shut the
funny.
fuck up.
I didn't.
Shut up. All right, do that. I dare you do it again. Do it again. Do it again. I'm gonna. All right, then. I.
sometimes people like they say like New York City girls, you talk so aggressively and all that, but sometimes that's the stuff you really got to deal with. Thankfully, I've never been touched like that, but I have had times where I've been here in New York City and guys have been trying to touch me, and I'm like, sir, you don't even know me to be trying to touch me. Like you are really crazy. Like, because I would never like walk up to some random guy and just start touching him without his consent. But some of these men here, I don't know how it is in other cities. I've traveled to other cities, but it's one thing when you live there versus when you're visiting. You know what I mean? Like it's different. But it seems like the New York City guys, obviously not all, but some of them here can be very aggressive and they can be very like they walk up to you, they just talk to you any type of way how they feel, and then you're supposed to just be dainty and all feminine and stuff like that. I'm not gonna be all dainty and feminine around a man who is aggressive and does not respect my boundaries and does not understand the word no. Like I am literally in a situation where I have to defend myself. So I'm not going to be dainty and all soft and feminine. I used to be like that when I was younger. I used to be all like kind of like giggly and very open and kind of like, I'm gonna be sweet. I don't want to be mean. I don't want guys to think that I'm mean. I don't want guys to think that, I'm not a nice person. And child, that didn't get me nowhere. Like I got treated really badly. And then in public, guys would always disrespect my boundaries. So I stopped being that way over time. And it's sad that you have to be really rough and kind of hard at times, but sometimes you have to be that way to protect yourself because some men feel like they have a right to touch you when they don't. Like I said, you don't even know me and you feel like it's okay to try to touch me, and it's very inappropriate. It's very, very inappropriate. So yeah, it's very, very inappropriate. So I don't really have much more to say about it because I don't want this to be too long, but I just kind of wanted to come on here and talk about it. And it would be nice in the future for me to do live streams a little bit more, and basically I could talk, with other people in a chat and stuff like that. And we could have a discussion, maybe even bring people up. People could share their opinion on things. It'd be cool. Cause I remember when I was younger, I used to do like a lot of live streaming and stuff, and it was really cool. I think I like live stream more than recorded videos because I get to kind of just express myself. Sometimes it's a little hard for me to kind of formulate my thoughts and speak like impromptu, even in my videos, recorded videos. Like I'm just more of a person who I like to write things out. Like I like to take my time and reread it and revise it, and then I can then show my thoughts in written form. But I am working on like talking more and expressing myself verbally because I think it is important to know how to express yourself in different ways, especially as an introvert and especially as a woman, because especially with this type of topic, like sometimes you have to be able to say what you mean and mean what you say and be very clear and concise. And when it comes to things like this, like when it comes to boundaries, it's very important to be very confident in how you speak and very confident in what you're saying and convicted in what you're saying, and like, this is not what I want, this is not what I like, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is how it is, this is not how it is, and be able to express yourself verbally. I think it's a very good skill to have. um so that's basically all I have to say about that, I guess. But yeah, men, y'all need to work on that. And when I say y'all, I don't mean all of y'all, but some of y'all need to accept the fact that you don't own women's bodies and you don't own women. And yeah, like I said, if you claim that you're a respectful man, then if you see a woman that's dressed a certain way that you don't respect the way that she dresses, then you would just keep moving and keep walking. You know what I mean? Like you will not go out of your way to disrespect her just because you feel like she's quote unquote disrespecting herself. And it's funny how men say that too, but then when they meet a woman who's dressed modest, they will still disrespect her. And I know that from experience, and I know that from other women's experience, where just because you cover up does not mean that a man automatically respects you. Just because you cover up doesn't mean that he's automatically going to be a good guy who's going to treat you right. No. And we see it in a lot of other countries too, where women are dressed modest all the time and men are doing all type of horrible things to them. So you covering up is not going to make a man automatically respect you. What makes a man respect you is him wanting to be a respectful person, him doing the inner work and being respectful. That's what makes him respectful, not by me covering up. Yes, how I dress will play an impact on how people view me. I talked about that in the last video that I posted, that you shouldn't care about what people think, But at the same time, you also have to be aware and cognizant of the fact that your reputation is going to follow you, and how you carry yourself is going to play a role in how people perceive you and how people interact with you, and the opportunities that you may receive or not receive because of your reputation, because of the way that you carry yourself as a woman. So yes, that is a thing. But at the same time, don't be modest and don't cover up and do all that stuff just because you want a man to respect you, or just because you want a man to commit or be faithful or do all these things, because at the end of the day, a man will still do what he wants to do. You're not in control of him. Just like he's not in control of you, you're not in control of him. So at the end of the day, if he doesn't want to be respectful, he's not going to be respectful. So that doesn't mean that you should say, "Well, it doesn't matter what I do, because no matter what I do, a man won't respect me." Well, then no, you walk down the path that you are led to walk down, but just make sure your intentions are you're doing it because this is the morals and values and principles that you have on the path that you're walking on, not because you want to do it for a man, because you'll be sorely disappointed when you did all of that stuff and he still didn't respect you. When you did all of that stuff and he still cheated, he still did whatever he did. But if you did everything that you needed to do for the path that you're walking on, and he still did that, then you could be like, you know what, that's just him. It doesn't have nothing to do with me. I was walking on the path that I was walking on. I was being my authentic self. I was going towards a purpose for my life, and he decided to do what he did. There's nothing I could have did about that. You know what I mean? So it will still hurt, but you'll still have peace knowing that you didn't do it for him. You did it for the path that you're on. You didn't change yourself for him. You changed yourself because you were in a process of transformation for the path that you're on. And I think that that makes a big difference in your whole journey as a woman and the decisions that you make in your life. So, yeah, men need to work on that because it really get it really exposes a man a lot when he says that I get to disrespect a woman because she disrespects herself. No, if you are an honorable man, you would not want to disrespect her, period. You would just keep it moving and you would just go about your way. She's not kind of the woman I want. I don't like the way she dressed. I don't like the way she carry herself. And I'm going to keep moving because this doesn't work for me. If she chooses to change and she wants to be modest, cool. That works for me. If not, oh well, you know? So it's just one of those things. And women, we need to work on that too. Because, it's funny because that's always kind of put on women that we're always trying to change men. But men do the same thing to women. They're always trying to change women. I've had so many times where a man has tried to change me and tried to make me do things that I don't want to do, be in places I don't want to be, act in ways that I don't want to act. And not only, I'm not even just talking about he's trying to encourage you to be more confident, or he's trying to encourage you to be more vocal. He's trying to encourage you to pursue your dreams more. Sometimes you do need a man to kind of be that push, to push you to do things that maybe you within yourself are struggling with, or you're dragging your feet. That's not him trying to like make you into somebody different per se. Maybe he's just trying to encourage you to become a better person. He's trying to encourage you to pursue your dreams a little bit more because he sees your potential. That's different versus that certain things I'm uncomfortable with, or that goes against my morals and values, but you're trying to push me into that anyway because it benefits you, even though it makes me uncomfortable, even though it makes me afraid, or it makes me feel like I'm betraying myself or I'm going against who I am. You're still going to try to encourage me to go that path because it benefits you. That's not right. So a lot of times men will say they don't like when women do that, but they do that to women too. They do that to women too. They're always trying to mold, and they'll even say that, oh, that's why I like to get young women because you can mold them. Why do you need to mold her? If you meet her and you see that she has qualities about her that you like, great. Y'all align within your morals and values, great. Y'all are compatible, great. And you see some things within her that she can improve on, so you encourage her and kind of push her within those areas. You kind of give her guidance and give her some order and structure in her life. That's cool. But why would you want to take somebody who's a certain way and mold them into what you want them to be? She's not your project. You're not God. Where, how they said God is a potter and we're the clay, and he molds us into who he wants us to be. But even within that, God still gives us freedom of choice, and he still's like, okay, I'll mold you, but you have to be willing to be molded. So even God is not trying to like force things on us or manipulate us or try to make us into something that we don't want to be, even though he has the power to do it, but he doesn't do that. So how much more so as humans, we should not be trying to make people into what we want them to be. And I'm speaking for myself too, because I've struggled with that as well. Like when you really see somebody's potential, you really want them to be a certain way. So you try to like switch things around or kind of like push them into a, but if they don't want it, they don't want it. There's nothing you can do about it. Cause then they'll start to get resentful because they're like, why you keep trying to change me? I don't want to go that path. Or I'm not ready. And it sucks, but you have to accept that because that's their path. That's their choice. That's their journey, So there's nothing you can do about that. You're gonna have to just love them and accept that that's just where they are. And if it doesn't work for you, then you have to love them from afar. That's just kind of how relationships work. Whether it be romantic, it could be family, it could be anything. Because I wasn't even just thinking about romantic just now. I was thinking about even just family or friends or people that you see. You're like, wow, I know they can be at this level, but they're at this level. I really want to see them at that higher level, but they have to be ready and willing. And sometimes they may not even be equipped, may not even have the strength or the self-esteem or the determination to even go forth and do that. So sometimes they have certain tools that they have to develop first before they can get to that level. So that's why it's important for us to um not try to force ourselves onto other people, but it's important for us to, I'm not saying you have to accept what people do. Like some people say, oh, you have to accept people for who they are and you have to respect everything that they do. No, I don't have to always respect what people do or accept everything that they are, but I can accept the fact that this is where they are at this time. I may not agree with it, but I can accept them as a whole person and I can still love them as a whole person, even though I may not accept certain things that they do or I may not respect certain things that they do, but I can still say that's who they are and I still love them regardless. And if it doesn't work for me, and or if it's toxic to me, I can then love them from afar, or I can do that temporarily, or I can like minimize the amount of exposure I have to them. I may not have to cut them off completely, but I can minimize the exposure that I have to them, depending on the kind of relationship that it is. But this whole thing of like trying to like control them and make them do this, like they're like my like they like I own them or something. They're not my property. They are human beings who have autonomy just like I have autonomy. So I need to respect, just like I wouldn't want a man to do that to me. I should not want to do that to him. And it's a journey. Like I'm saying, it's something that I've been working on. So I think that some men need to work on that. They need to stop being so controlling and have this ownership, conquering type of mentality. It's very toxic and it's very lower nature, wanting to control a woman and who she is instead of just leaving her where she is and going for a woman that's already where you want her to be. You know what I mean? If you claim that you're a good man, that's what you would do instead of trying to disrespect her or inappropriately handle her because you feel like she's not at the level of what you want a woman to be. That is very telling of you as a man and your character and where you are currently. So instead of focusing on her, oh, she don't respect herself because she dressed that way, or she don't respect herself because she do this and do that. Sir, do you respect yourself? Do you respect yourself? Because if you respect yourself and you know who you are, you wouldn't even be sitting here wasting your time doing all this stuff. You would just keep moving and go on to the woman that wants you and the woman that is where you want her to be. Or you would focus on yourself. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to go out of your way to try to tear down somebody else who's not where you think that they should be or they're not who you think that they should be. Just focus on what you need to do. It's easier said than done, but sometimes we have to look at ourselves instead of looking at other people. Anyways, Imma go. I said I was gonna go a long time ago, and I kept talking because I started kinda, like, getting into the topic or whatever, but let me know what y'all think in the comments about this topic, and I will talk to y'all again soon. I'm off of this for now. Oh, yeah, and I wanna still continue the series of Grown Up Unprepared for Womanhood. I didn't forget, I think I have, like, 2 more parts to it, so I'm gonna try to record that and get that up. It's been challenging for me to be consistent on here. I'm not even gonna lie, it's my fault. I have to hold myself accountable. There's a lot of different reasons why, but I do want to be more consistent on here because I know that consistency does matter. So I hope that y'all enjoy the stuff that I post. Like sometimes I feel like, are people watching it? Are people engaging with it? Whatever. But I know that the consistency matters too, with people engaging and really watching it and stuff like that. And also like it's hard because sometimes you'll like people may like what you say, but people have to also be willing to click on it. So I'm trying to work on like different ways of like bringing more people in with the titles and the thumbnails and the different topics that I bring up. So we'll see how it works. So I'll talk to y'all again soon. Take care. Bye.